Hey, but now they tell me I switched up. Take this backwood to the face, then grab my cup. Shawty say she coming through, she on her way to. It's a lot of lust, not a lot of love.
Okay, so the problem is you have to find the domain of the function log base 2 negative x squared plus 4x minus 3. Alright, so if you think about the graph of log x, which I'm about to draw right now, you can see that the domain is any positive number, because horizontally it goes from 0 to infinity. With that being said, we have to plug in what we have in our function, which is negative x squared plus 4x minus 3 for the x where I underlined. So you would have to do the negative x squared plus 4x minus 3 greater than 0. Now to simplify, I'm just going to divide both sides by negative 1 just so it's easier. So you get x squared minus 4x plus 3. And you have to switch the sign because you divided by a negative number. And you have to factor it now. And if you aren't that good with factoring, you can use the x method, which I'm showing right here. Alright, so from there, you factored it and you get in parentheses x minus 3 multiplied by x minus 1 is less than 0. And for this particular domain problem, I like thinking of it as on a number line. So I'm drawing from 0 to 4. I just labeled 1 and 3 from our equation, which we factored 3 and 1. And now I'm gonna do trial and error basically. So I'm plugging in 0 to the what I got. So 0 minus 3, it's equal to negative 3, and 0 minus 1 is equal to negative 1. So if you multiply those, which I'm about to show right now, negative 3 times negative 1, it is not less than 0. It becomes a positive number and becomes greater than 0. So that cannot be a part of our domain. Alright, so now I'm testing out greater than 3, which I'm just plugging in 4. So for 4 minus 3, I get 1. And for 4 minus 1, I get 3. And I multiply those, and that is also not less than 0. So that can also not be a part of our domain. And now I plug in the middle 2. I get 2 minus 3 equals negative 1, and 2 minus 1 is equal to 1, and you multiply them, and those are less than 0. So our domain becomes from 1 to 3.
Astro.
Alright, so for this problem, again, it's domain. And the function we have to solve, or the domain of, is radical x plus 10 divided by x minus 1. Now, to start off, again, if you think about the graph, just like the last problem, the graph of rad x, you can see, which I'm about to draw right now, that the domain is from 0 to infinity. And as I'm writing right now, the graph has to be greater or equal to 0 because it starts from 0. And for the bottom, uh, everyone knows that there can't be a 0 in the denominator, so you have to equate, or you have to make an inequality. X is unequal to 0, and you have to plug in what we have in the denominator for our function, which is x minus 1. And if you solve that, you get x cannot equal 1. So now you have to, or for the top, you have to make a new equation based off of the radical x domain. So you plug in x plus 10 is greater or equal than 0. And once you solve that, you get x is greater or equal than negative 10 by subtracting 10 from each side. So with these two restrictions, you get in bracket first, because it's greater than or equal to negative 10. The bracket means that negative 10 is included. So you put negative 10, comma, 1, and you put this one in a parentheses because 1 is not included. And then you do the union sign, and you start from 1 again, which basically just means that you cancel that 1. And then you go to infinity, and with the parentheses.
I can buy a Billy, don't talk to me. For a show 150, don't talk to me.